Well, just last week, the judge overseeing the bankruptcy proceedings against the Buffalo Diocese set a deadline of September to come up with a viable plan to settle up to 900 priest sex abuse claims.
It's the case's first substantial movement in several months, which was first filed in 2020. Attorney Steve Boyd represents some of the victims in that massive case and joins us now with the update. Steve, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you, Jordan and Dave.
So this has been ongoing for some years now. First, let's just catch our viewers up to speed. Where do things stand today?
Well, the bankruptcy was filed just about 5 years ago. So the Child Victims Act was 2019, and then in early March, late February of the following year, they filed for bankruptcy. So I think the process, there's a lot of litigation and things that go on in the beginning, and then the mediation started, and the mediation has kind of stalled. And so Judge Carl Buckeye, who's the bankruptcy judge, the chief bankruptcy judge in charge of this case, has now appointed a second mediator, Judge Melanie Siganowski, brilliant bankruptcy judge. She's got Buffalo ties, spent some time at UB, and wrote a book about Polish-American law practice in Western New York, or wrote an article or a book, I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, but she is the new mediator. She will join Judge Patrick Niemoyer, who just a couple of years ago retired from the 4th Department Appellate Division, another brilliant jurist. So the idea now is to get the sides together and try to come up with some sort of resolution before a September 1st deadline.
I think a good way to sort of view how much progress has been made is to compare and contrast this diocese bankruptcy filing with others across the country, because there are many that are going on in New York State right now. There are some that are going on across the country. How does this 5 years, because Steve is right, in February, it will be 5 years since this was first filed. How does that compare with other dioceses and their bankruptcy filings?
I think we're the second oldest bankruptcy for a diocese in the country. Rochester is the oldest, and Rochester's a little bit ahead of us. A bankruptcy plan there is being submitted to the judge in about 3 weeks.
What does that, does it tell you that there are people that are dragging their feet? Is that a problem with the process? Or is this because the potential claims are so voluminous, so massive?
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's all of those things. There's been insurance companies involved have really dragged their feet, because if you're an insurance company, the longer you can hang on to your money, you're earning interest, however you're investing that money that's been reserved for the case. So they've been a real problem with delay in every diocese. For example, Diocese of Syracuse settled for $100 million, church and parish money only, no insurance money. That plan has been approved, and now some of the insurance carriers have come to the table. In Rochester, a deal was struck with the church enterprises, the schools, the parishes, the diocese itself, and some of the insurance companies, but not the biggest one. So in Buffalo, there's no deal with any insurance companies. In fact, the insurance companies won't even tell us what they're offering. They're trying to act as if they're one insurance company, and they want to create one offer, and we don't want to negotiate that way, because they're just trying to keep their profit, keep their end of the cost of this down. There have been actual negotiations with the Diocese of Buffalo. That $100 million figure has been out there. As you know, we've talked about it many times. I can't talk numbers, but that one the diocese put out there. And Judge Niemoyer took us, from almost zero up to that point. And now Judge Siganowski comes in, and hopefully the sides can get closer and closer and closer and meet a resolution by September 1st. And Judge Buckeye did say September 1st is not going to be a hard deadline. If we're making good progress, he would extend it somewhat. But he also indicated that if we can't get it done, then the case should go back to litigation, and that's two kinds of litigation. That's the cases that we sued in state court, but also the insurance cases, because there's all kinds of conflict going on between the diocese and the insurance companies who are supposed to be paying these claims for them.
At the end of the day, this is about justice for all of the victims. Truthfully, how do you feel about that September deadline? Does that make you feel like it's closer to justice for these people?
Well, I will say that I am hopeful but not confident. And you're right. This is, at the end of the day, this is a human story about people who have suffered with what they went through and the time they spent keeping it a secret all their lives. For many of these people, when they came into my office, I would ask them about what happened, and then I would say, "Who have you told?" And they'd say, "You're the first one." And many of them have gotten a great amount of healing through counseling. And, and we're thankful because Catholic Charities paid for most of that counseling for a lot of our clients. But there still is a lot to carry. There still is, we know because we've talked to parents of children who were abused and committed suicide. This is a devastating thing. It's a devastating betrayal. And the concept of justice is just that. It's a concept. You can't give you your childhood back, right? You can't give you back the things that happened in your life, the drug addiction, the inability to hold on a job, all the things that might not have happened if this was not what happened to you when you were a kid. So we want to get them, I guess, as close to justice as possible, and that's the goal.
Among the other discussions in court we have seen and heard are the current sales that the diocese is going through with some of its properties. The judges have been very interested in that. They've been asking for progress reports from the church. I know you can't go into specific numbers, but from your witnessing the proceedings that are happening, do you think it seems like the court is in agreement with the diocese move to begin to sell off some of these incredibly important, historically and otherwise, but also very profitable properties?
I don't know if the court's in agreement with it. The court wants to be very careful about that because sometimes the property was donated under a certain condition, and those conditions have to be met. You can't just sell them. So there will be some arguments going on as to what's saleable and what is not. But I do think that any effort for the diocese to raise funds that would be put toward a settlement is an effort toward making progress. And both sides, we don't have a lot that we agree on in terms of the monetary part of this, but both sides agree that we need to get closer. And so that is a step closer if it happens. But we do ask, you filed for bankruptcy in 2020. Why are you selling them now? You could have sold them a long time ago. It's time to get serious. And that's something a September 1st deadline does. I think for everybody, it makes everybody get serious.
Well, certainly a massive case, a story we will continue following. Attorney Steve Boyd, thank you so much for coming in on this Tuesday afternoon and sharing the update with us.
Thank you both.
Thank you.